Hello, I'm Asad Ahmad. The government's former Minister for London has failed to win the Conservative Party's support to run for the office of Mayor of London. Paul Scully was hoping to stop Mayor Sadiq Khan from winning a third term in office, but Conservative headquarters had other ideas, selecting three other possible candidates. Here's our political editor, Tim Donovan.
There was a lot of surprise that Paul Scully, who's been Minister for London for nearly 3 years, didn't make it onto the shortlist of three after an interview by a panel of Conservative members in Westminster yesterday. Those who did are Susan Hall, who's a Conservative member of the London Assembly and has been a vociferous critic of Sadiq Khan for many years. Daniel Korski is a former number 10 advisor when David Cameron was Prime Minister. He's a tech entrepreneur and has put technology at the heart of his campaign and bid. And finally, there's a barrister called Mozammel Hussain. This was a surprise too, because very few people knew that he'd actually applied. He's Bangladesh born. He was one of the youngest Queen's Counsel, as was to have been created. And you have there then a trio who go through a series of hustings now in London. There will then be a vote just of Conservative Party members, a ballot at the beginning of July, and we will know the eventual winner on July the 19th. That person, the one who goes on and attempts to unseat Labour's Sadiq Khan, who's seeking a third term.
Our political editor, Tim Donovan. Now, it's the start of Loneliness Awareness Week and it affects anyone, young and old. In fact, in a new poll, around 90% of respondents admitted to dealing with loneliness at some point in their life. Well, Cosmopolitan carried out the poll, and when I spoke to its features director earlier, Harriet Hall told me it can be a bigger problem in a large city like London.
Loneliness, contrary to what we might think, doesn't actually stem from isolation necessarily. It's more about a lack of meaningful quality relationships. So if we think about sort of city life and how many people we pass day to day and how kind of fleeting those interactions might be, how many are really, really meaningful? And the other thing that we found is that experts have said that instances of loneliness significantly increase in overcrowded environments and decrease in areas with lots of green spaces as well.
The weather at the moment is terrific. It's warm, sunny and hot out there. I would have thought that it encourages people to go out and socialise more, but apparently, according to your survey, in the summer months, loneliness can increase.
Yeah, exactly. We tend to think of winter as this really lonely time, and certainly for many it is. But in summer, what we found through our Cosmopolitan poll was that 74% of our readers reported experiencing FOMO. So that's the fear of missing out. And anecdotally, they attributed this to social media, to scrolling through social media and seeing their friends, at the beach with other friends or having a picnic or a party and feeling isolated because they weren't involved in that.
Most importantly, Harriet, what can people do if they are feeling lonely?
Well, the Campaign to End Loneliness is a really important charity and a place to start, as is Mind Charity and the Samaritans. But experts also suggested to us that taking breaks from social media is important for general wellness, and remembering that social media is usually a glossy, polished version of people's lives. It's not necessarily the reality. Going outside and being in nature, and finding local community spaces or perhaps volunteering initiatives where you can meet like-minded people as well. And finally, talking about it. That was a massive thing that came out of our research. The people that we spoke to, they all said, open up to somebody, whoever it is, have a chat. Chances are they've experienced loneliness in some way too themselves.
My thanks to Harriet Hall for speaking to me earlier on this important subject, and as well as the suggestions you just heard for dealing with loneliness, you can also go to the BBC Action Line for more organisations that can help with loneliness and also offer support. The Charity Retail Association says a rise in sales of second-hand goods is all down to people looking for ways to beat the rising cost of living. Charity shops say they've seen a 15% rise in sales in the last year, and the online second-hand market is booming too. Ben Boulos has more.
Second-hand, pre-loved, recycled. When it comes to clothes, more of us are seeking out bargains instead of always buying new. And where there are trends, there are business opportunities. First, the fashion blogger and advisor. Rosie has 4,000 subscribers who follow her tips on where and how to buy second-hand, like at this SCT charity shop in East London.
Just walk into your local charity shop. You don't have to buy anything the first time, but just get comfortable in the space, get comfortable with rummaging a little bit. It's not like going into a high street shop. It is a little bit different, and I personally like that about it. I find it quite relaxing. There's not like blasting music, things like that. So this is Levi's, so you know it will be really good quality.
Oh, okay, and how much is this? £7?
£7, which is amazing.
Not bad, £7. There we go. What do you think?
So good. I love it. Really nice.
What do you think? Tucked in, tucked out?
I'm a tucked out person, personally.
You're the expert. I'll go with you. Rosie, thank you very much. The thing is, though, what if you're not sure where to get the best bargains? Maybe you don't have time and you may not have an expert like Rosie out shopping with you. Well, enter our next business, the online seller, Isabella. She started selling unwanted clothes on the app Depop to make some extra cash while studying. It's now her full-time business, with 3 staff and sales totalling £800,000 since 2015. So how does it work?
For example, some of the items that I source might come from like warehouses. There are like huge warehouses in the UK full of vintage stock. Like, it's almost unimaginable. A lot of my pieces come from there, and I aim to list 100 items a week or so.
And small entrepreneurs like Isabella mean more business for big online selling platforms. Vinted is one of those seeing a surge. Its number of registered buyers and sellers in the UK has soared from 1.2 million 2 years ago to 8 million today.
The growth of second-hand's absolutely phenomenal, and you know, a whole host of different reasons. But I think people are more and more wanting to sell on platforms like Vinted, to make a bit of extra money, cost of living crisis, it's very understandable. And on the buying side, people still want to buy items, but they want to buy more affordable items.
Of course, some people will always prefer to do it the old-fashioned way, rummaging and rifling through the rails, never knowing what bargains they may discover.
Ben Boulos with that report. Now let's take a look at the weather forecast with Kate.
Good afternoon. Well, as you can see, it is another very sunny and hot day. Feeling humid as well, and the Met Office has a yellow weather warning in place for thunderstorms. Similar to yesterday, not everywhere will get the storms, but if you do, quite a lot of rain, short space of time, some hail, gusty winds mixed in there as well. But sunny spells elsewhere, and temperatures still in the high 20s, 27 Celsius, the maximum temperature. Now into this evening and overnight, that shower risk starts to clear. It's largely dry and clear through the night, but again, it is going to be quite an uncomfortable one. Warm and muggy, 12 to 15 Celsius the minimum temperature, but a bright start to Tuesday. Now the air slightly less humid tomorrow. There's still chance of 1 or 2 showers. You can't rule them out through the afternoon, but fewer than today. It's less likely. We'll see plenty of sunshine through Tuesday. The wind light and temperatures still hot. We're looking at a maximum of 28 Celsius. Now we're going to hang on to the high pressure as we head through this week, so nothing really changes day on day. It's largely fine, dry, and a lot of warm sunshine. Temperatures staying in the mid to high 20s throughout, and there's really not a lot of rain in the forecast, staying dry right the way through the week and into the weekend too.
Well, that's it for now, but do go to our website to read about the British Army veteran spending her birthday running in an ultra marathon to help fellow veterans. From all of us here on the BBC London Lunchtime team, do have a very good afternoon. Bye-bye.